Kabara Cave, 1989. A team of archaeologists is carefully excavating a Neanderthal skeleton, and they find something tiny. A small U-shaped bone sitting right where the throat would have been, the hyoid bone. It's the only bone in your body that's directly connected to your vocal tract, and this one, from a creature that died 60,000 years ago, is almost identical to yours. Cue the headlines, Neanderthals could talk, which is a slightly funny conclusion to draw from a single bone that, on its own, says absolutely nothing. It doesn't talk. It never talked. It just sat there, in a throat, for 60,000 years, waiting for someone to dig it up and have a small existential crisis about it. But that's actually the whole problem with this topic, and it's worth sitting with for a second. Language doesn't fossilize. Words don't get preserved in rock. The actual sound of someone's voice 100,000 years ago is gone, completely, forever. So everything we know, everything, comes from indirect evidence. Bones, brain shapes, genes, tools. And from that, we're trying to answer one question that sounds simple and absolutely is not. Why did humans start talking? Let's start with the assumption almost everyone makes without realizing it. Language evolved so we could share useful information. There's a lion over there. Water is this way. Practical stuff, survival stuff. Here's where I'd push back on that, because if sharing useful information were the bar, plenty of animals already clear it. Bees do a dance that encodes the exact direction and distance to a food source with enough precision that other bees can fly straight there. Elephants communicate over kilometers using infrasound. Chimpanzees have a whole vocabulary of distinct alarm calls, different calls for leopard versus eagle, and other chimps respond differently depending on which one they hear. So if the goal was just transmit useful information, that goal was already solved. Multiple times, by multiple species, without anything resembling what we do. Which means whatever language actually is, it's not that. In the mid-20th century, a linguist named Charles Hockett tried to pin down exactly what separates human language from every signaling system in the animal kingdom. A few of his criteria matter a lot here. One is arbitrariness. The word dog has no actual connection to what a dog is. It's just a sound we all agreed means that. Another is productivity. A finite set of words and rules can generate an infinite number of new sentences, including ones nobody has ever said before. A purple hippo waltzing on a cloud. You've never heard that sentence in your life. You understood it instantly. And if you didn't, well, now you have. And the big one is displacement, the ability to talk about things that aren't here. The past, the future, things that don't exist at all. A bee can tell other bees where the flowers are right now. No bee has ever told another bee about the flowers it remembers from last spring, or the flowers it's worried won't bloom next year, or a flower it just made up. That gap between here's what's happening and here's a thing that isn't happening, has never happened or might happen, is, as far as we can tell, entirely ours. So the real question isn't why did we start communicating? Every social animal communicates. The real question is, why did one species end up with displacement, recursion, and a system that can generate infinite new sentences when nothing else did? One of the most influential answers comes from a British anthropologist named Robin Dunbar, and it starts in a place you wouldn't expect. Among primates, physically grooming each other, picking through fur, removing parasites, isn't just hygiene. It's social glue. It builds alliances, diffuses tension, signals we're good. And Dunbar noticed something. Across primates, there's a tight relationship between the size of the neocortex and the size of the social group an animal can keep track of. For humans, that number works out to roughly 150, the famous Dunbar's number. Here's the problem. If you tried to maintain real relationships with 150 people through physical grooming, the way chimps do with their much smaller groups, you'd need to spend something like 42% of your waking hours doing it. Picking through hair, all day, every day, for 150 people. That's not a lifestyle. That's a full-time job with terrible benefits. Dunbar's proposal is that language is what replaced this. You can groom multiple people at once with your hands free, while walking, while working. And what do people actually talk about most of the time, even now? Not weather, not philosophy, other people. Who did what? Who said what? Who's trustworthy? Who isn't? By Dunbar's estimate, language is roughly 3 times more efficient at social bonding than physical grooming, and that efficiency gain might be the entire reason it was worth evolving in the first place. Okay, but here's where I think this explanation, on its own, doesn't quite get you all the way there. Gossip doesn't need recursion. Sarah is unreliable, doesn't require the ability to nest infinite clauses inside each other. You don't need to be able to say, Maya said that John thought that Sarah noticed that the deal fell through, just to maintain a friendship. So gossip might explain why talking became valuable. It doesn't obviously explain why talking became this, a system capable of, in principle, infinite complexity. For that, you probably need to add a second pressure on top, cooperation that depends on planning. Coordinated hunting of large animals doesn't just require there's an antelope. It requires being able to discuss an antelope that isn't currently visible, where it was last seen, which direction it was heading, who's going to circle around which side. That's displacement again, but now it's load-bearing. If your hunting strategy depends on people coordinating around something none of them can currently see, you need a communication system built for exactly that. And there's a separate, parallel theory about how all of this got off the ground biologically in the first place. Not through sound at first, but through gesture. In the 1990s, researchers studying macaque monkeys found something strange. The same neurons that fired when a monkey grabbed an object also fired when it watched another monkey grab that object. Mirror neurons. And critically, this happens in a brain region that's the evolutionary ancestor of Broca's area, one of the core language regions in human brains. The idea is that this mirror system, originally just for understanding and copying physical actions, became the scaffolding that gesture and eventually speech got built on top of, which might be part of why, even now, people gesture while they talk, and why Broca's area lights up both when you speak and when you watch someone use their hands. So, social bonding gives language a reason to exist. Cooperative planning gives it a reason to get complicated. Mirror neurons might explain the biological pathway it took to get there. That's 3 solid pieces. But there's a fourth idea, and it starts with women. You know the stereotype. Ask anyone who talks more, men or women, who gossips more, who maintains friendships through conversation. The answer is always the same. And here's the thing, that stereotype might actually be pointing at something ancient. Picture this. A woman gives birth in a cave. She's not going anywhere for months. She can't hunt, can't forage. She's stationary, with a creature that can't hold up its own head, can't explain what's wrong, can't survive 5 minutes without her. And next to her, another woman. Same situation. 2 women, a cave. Nowhere to go. You can probably imagine what happened next. Now, jokes aside, the actual theory here is more interesting than it sounds. The evolutionary biologist Madeline Beekman has argued that exactly this situation, mothers stuck in one place, needing food brought to them, needing specific help with the child, needing someone to understand the difference between he's just fussy and something is actually wrong, created the kind of pressure where precise communication stops being optional. Grunts don't cut it when the stakes are a child's life. And then there's the children themselves. Human babies are born helpless, yes, but they're also born with something extraordinary, brains that absorb language faster than any other creature on the planet. There's a theory that children weren't just the reason language needed to exist. They were the engine that kept improving it, each generation picking up what the previous one built and adding just a little more. So, 2 women in a cave, trying to keep a helpless baby alive. That might be where all of this started. We don't know what the first word was, but I'd bet it was something like mama. See you next time.